Warning, Prospect Watch is not your average hockey podcast, and that's okay with us. Our goal is to introduce you to stars in the making from all over the world. They may not be household names yet, but we assure you they will be soon enough. Welcome to Prospect Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Prospect Watch with your host, Lance Green.
All right, guys. Today we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic of the NCAA's free agents, right? Undrafted free agents that are to be had right now. As you can see, a lot of teams have been signing some of these players already. Right before filming this, Toronto just signed Dartmouth's Luke Hames, which was a big name this season. So a lot of names are already starting to go off the board. I recently did an article where I pulled a couple of different players, one from every kind of position, that I think would be amazing players to be had off the free agent market. So I think we're going to touch on some of that today, huh, Steel?
You bet, man. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe, man. We'd really appreciate that. On this very special episode, we are going to look at NCAA players that the league, the NHL, should be taking notice to and should be signing to their roster ahead of the draft and to get them on the roster right now ahead of the playoff push. There's a lot of teams out there right now that are vying for playoff position, things of that nature, and a lot of teams out there that have some salary cap and some room and some major needs for some of these positions that we're going to talk about. So be sure to go on over to SteelFlyers.com/Prospect Watch and check out Lance's latest article about exactly what we're going to talk about. NCAA players that teams should be taking a look at for sure. So hop on over there for sure. Check that out. And man, I'll tell you what, we can't wait to get started, right? So you ready to go, Lance?
Yeah, I mean, guys, this is a thing that teams do every single year, and it's a great way for teams to add players to their farm system, even to the AHL teams, even to be able to come in and just be an added depth. They don't have to give up any picks. They don't have to draft them. These guys went undrafted. They're late bloomers, and if you want to call them that have just flourished since they reached the NCAA rankings and the collegiate program that they're playing in. And, some of them are very worthy of some contracts here to become great NHL players, as we've seen a lot of guys do in recent years and years past as well, where they just immediately can step in, because we all know the NCAA is becoming a place where top-level talent that teams do draft go to continue to hone their skills before they arrive with the big clubs, right? Top 10 picks, everybody. There's names all over the NCAA playing in these. So if these guys that we're going to mention here can handle playing against these great players that are just drafted and sometimes even outproduce them, then why shouldn't they have a shot at an NHL contract?
I agree. And exactly with what you said, Lance, this is a great opportunity for teams to pluck players that are much more NHL ready. They might not have been drafted, and they've been able to develop at the NCAA level. And we're starting to see more and more where NHL clubs are taking guys from the NHL levels. And Lance and I have seen this throughout the last couple of years, especially doing this show, where even European players are starting to come over here and play at the NCAA Division 1A level, okay? And this is some of the best talent that you're going to get to play against. This is some of the best way to judge yourself, a great way to get scouted against, because you're not playing against boys. Okay,
Right.
you're now playing amongst men. Okay, like when you get to the KHL, right? That's playing men against men. You know what I'm saying? When you get to some of the Swiss league and the Liga and stuff like that, and over there in Europe, you're playing men against men, right? Over here in the United States, you get to NCAA level, you're playing men against men. And Lance, I got to tell you, exactly with what you said, if these guys are able to stand toe to toe with the likes of some of the top draft picks that are already playing in the NCAA, all of the Bostons, all of the Minnesotas, all of the Michigans, you mean you name it, any of them big schools out there got a number of those players playing for these teams right now. You know what I mean? So
Yes, I mean,
I'm
and if you look at
excited.
their facilities, Steel, their
Yeah,
facilities are top notch. Some of these schools are spending
are
hundreds of millions of
better than the
dollars on
NHL.
these. They're better than the NHL's facilities, practice facilities, workout facilities, spas, like aftercare. Like these schools spare no expense,
No, they
and
don't.
it shows, and who they bring in here. So man, let's jump into it. And I think we kind of got a thought process here for these fans, to understand where we're coming from for this, because you can just really plug and play, like Steele said, with some of these guys that are coming off great seasons as the year's ending, and as we'll get talking to here, where the playoff brackets are forming, and some of these teams' seasons are already done, which is why we're seeing signings.
Exactly. But I think at the end, we might even do a quick little wrap up of what's going to happen here because we are talking a lot about the NCAA and tournaments are getting started here and coming up here in this next weekend here. We're going to start some of the regionals and some of the semifinals and championship games here. So we might touch a little bit on that there at the end. But so hop on over to steelflyers.com/link/prospect watch show to check out Lance's latest article about NCAA players that teams, NHL teams should be taking a look at. And we're going to dive into the first ones from the University of Michigan. And we're talking about TJ Hughes. And Lance, I got to be honest with you. Now, he's playing center for them. Okay. And
Plays a little wing too, but predominantly center.
okay, and it's good that you have a player that can kind of,
Do
you
both,
know,
yeah.
do both. But tell me why this is a player that the league should be looking to add to their roster.
Yeah, so I mean, TJ comes from a fantastic program. Before he came to the Michigan Wolverines, he played for, one of our favorite teams, the Brooks Bandits, who
Oh
we've
yeah.
had countless players on this show from, because they're such an amazing organization. They won countless AJHL championships, and they have since moved up to the BCHL, and to try to gain tougher competition. But TJ, playing, his last year with the Brooks Bandits, he's undersized, right? He's 5'11", 185 pounds now. He's not his typical 6'2", 200-pound center that every NHL team wants, right? But he's stealthy. He's quick, on his feet. He's knows where to be. And let's just talk with the Brooks Bandits. His last season with them, he scored 66 goals and 61 assists for 121 points in 60 games played. That equals out to 2.11 points per game. He bettered those stats even, and topped them in the playoffs that year. He won AHL championship. He won the Centennial Cup. He did it all. So turning to a Wolverine, now I think he's a junior at the end of his junior year now. He's played
Yeah.
3 seasons for Michigan now, and they've had countless turnover with all their top picks that they bring in. And we know Wolverines are, got all some top guys, and he's played right along with them. And for the 3 years he's been there, he's been able to compile 47 goals, 75 assists, and 122 points in 116 games played. And he's managing
Wow.
or averaging around or just shy of winning 60% of his faceoffs, which is pretty darn good.
I mean,
Considering who Michigan plays on a nightly basis. They do not play
yeah.
some slack teams. They are trying to play the best teams that they can play to be able to get a better ranking schedule,
Wow.
when it all comes down to it. So,
Yeah.
Steele, he did attend Tampa Bay's development camp last summer. He didn't get signed then. A lot of people thought he would, and I think it was
Yeah. I thought.
his reasoning to want to go back and to do, to set out what he wanted to do and win a national championship this year. It didn't work out for him this year, but man, has he proved himself over these last 3 years. He's an offensive dynamo. He always has been. He makes anybody that's with him better. If you can process that, guys, like, it doesn't matter who he puts out there. He's been, over these last 3 years, the turnover at Michigan, like I said, has been, phenomenal, just to be able to still be competitive year in and year out. And when you're bringing all kinds of new talent in every year because all your players leave and go to the NHL or AHL and turn pro. TJ's been there. He's been consistent. He deserves a look, guys. He deserves to be signed. He's puts up points still. At a regular pace.
He plays a bigger game. He's a bigger 5'11" than you think about.
For sure. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Kid. And he's over 180 pounds, so he does play a bigger game. He does have he's not afraid to get in the dirty areas. I mean, for a center of that kind of, stature, I guess, if you want to call it that. But the other key factor thing that you also mentioned, Lance, was his face-off percentage. And, look, I don't know about y'all, but that's a pretty key element to a center position. Yeah, we understand you need to be able to score, and yeah, we understand you need to be able to toe drag and dangle and blah, 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 blah. But you also need to be able to win face-offs, right? You got to be good on the dots. And you also got to be defensively responsible. And that's the other thing that I can also say, as he is also that too. Do you know what I'm saying? And playing for the Michigan Wolverines, that is a professional type program here, folks.
They produce pros.
It doesn't get any more step down from the pros than it does from Michigan. I mean, that is a top level program. They're playing the likes of Minnesota's and Ohio States and Penn States, and they're playing the likes of them kind of teams on a regular basis. So a lot of props to TJ for being as good as he was. We talked to some of his teammates with the Brooks Bandits. You know what I mean? So we probably should have had him on.
I try. It was not for not trying, but yeah.
Not for not trying. You know what I mean? But and it's understandably so, because quite frankly, to have that kind of a production with that kind of a size and at that level, I definitely think he's ready to go to the NHL. Even if you put him on the fourth line as a fourth line center, I think you're still going to get good production out of him like that. So, all right, well, there you go, man. TJ Hughes from the University of Michigan. I like it. I like it. All right, here we go. Moving on, folks. Moving on. We're moving on to a winger from, hey, wait for it, Boston University. Oh, man. We're talking about a Hutson, right? We're talking about a Quinn Hutson here, man. Talk to me about, look, you and I both know that Boston University is stacked as far as their roster is concerned. There is a lot of draft picks on that roster right now.
Right.
Okay. So tell me, why is Quinn Hutson standing out?
Well, another undrafted player, right? You may have heard of that name, Hutson, right? Around the NHL now. His younger brothers, 21-year-old Lane Hutson, who was taken in the second round by the Montreal Canadiens, is having a heck of a season.
Yes,
And
he is. In fact, I
his,
believe he's up for the Calder Trophy this
yep,
year.
yep, he's one of the main ones there. And his 18-year-old brother, Cole, who was selected by the Caps in the second round, is having a phenomenal year as well. And he's playing with Quinn, and having a heck of a year. But Quinn is, for some reason, just been overshadowed by his other brothers, and I don't know why. Because he holds the highest points per game average, when I wrote this article, of anybody in the NCAA this season. He's netting
Wow.
1.44 points per game in the NCAA. All right, that's more
Hey,
than
folks, just to
all
let you
those
know,
draft
that
picks
is
that are top 10
serious.
picks.
Yeah. Just to let you folks know, that is a serious, serious number. 1.44 points per game. That is unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. And he's still undrafted? What? Hey, NHL.
Right. So to go over some of those numbers, he's a third-year player, he's a junior as well, and he's managed in that time period, over those 3 years, to net 53 goals, 57 assists for 110 points in 111 games. So almost a
Wow.
point per game overall. This season especially, he's well over that. But even before that, his other 2 years, he was putting up points. And what I like about him, Steel, what I'm getting ready to say, is he's a plus player. All right.
Hello.
He's maintaining over his collegiate career a plus 49 average. All right.
Hello.
So he can put up the points. He can also keep them out of the net as well. And, he's 23 years old. You're not getting some
Yeah.
kid that you're going to need to teach a whole lot. All right. He's been taught. He's, like Steele said, he's playing for Boston University. They have amazing coaches, and has been under the tutelage of some of the best collegiate coaches in the game. So he can step in. He's got an amazingly high hockey IQ. He doesn't have the extreme talents that maybe his younger brothers have, especially Lane and stuff. He plays a little bit different position, but his high hockey IQ is the thing that has got him to this point, and has got him to be able to be in the right position to net all these 1.44 points per game that he's been netting, because he's there. He's in the right areas. He knows where to be. You don't have to teach this guy anything. You can plug and play him into the lineup, into your AHL or NHL lineup right now, and he'd be productive.
I would love to, I would love to see any one of these teams out there take a chance on any one of these players, because I think you'd be able to. It's a steal, no matter how you slice it. It's a steal, and no matter what player that we talk about here, you're going to get an amazing talent, an amazing player, and somebody that's going to go all out for you and try to win for you. So, all right, I'm really liking, and you and I both know that Boston University, like we said before, they're another one of those great programs that a lot of players that are drafted go and play there at
Mm-hmm.
Boston University. And for the most part, Boston University is always in the NCAA championship games or in the Frozen Fours. They've had a streak now for quite a while. They usually one of those teams usually wins the Bean Pot.
Right.
You know what I mean? So Boston has been a stacked team, and to have a player like Hutson stand out, I think he deserves a look too from another NHL team as well too. So, hey NHL teams, ring ring, it's the clue phone for you. Here you go. All right. So, as the aforementioned Dartmouth College, that you talked about here in the beginning. We're going to talk about a defenseman here, C.J. Foley, from the aforementioned Dartmouth College. And we know from the players that we've interviewed that Dartmouth College is one of those top level colleges where if you want to learn how to play good hockey and get a good education, that this is one of those places that you need to go.
Yeah, a lot of their kids stay. They stay, and they don't just leave after a year. They get degrees from there. And with that being said, CJ is another one of them. He's 21 years old. He's a right-hand shooting defenseman. Who doesn't need one of those, right? Um, you know, they just don't grow on trees, and especially ones that are as talented as CJ. And he's 5'11", 174 pounds. Um, Not the ideal, stature that you want, but man, he can move. He can move steel. He's a puck moving offensive defenseman who, if I said I had to get a comparison, it would be like a poor man's Seamus Casey, who was drafted by the Devils, okay,
Oh, okay.
and played for
See now.
Michigan.
Oh, all
Just
right. Okay.
amazing stick handler. He can bring the puck up from behind the net and carry it all the way up in the offensive zone by himself and take it right to the goal mouth and put it in, or put it on net at least for somebody to get a juicy rebound after that. Now, this season, Foley has managed to amass 11 goals and 18 assists for 29 points in 30 games played as of when I wrote this article. And he was averaging a plus 16 on the season. All right.
Boy, that really just upsets us right there. What, a defenseman who's plus that much? Are you kidding?
He can skate. He can shoot. Got a monster shot from the blue line. Can just cycle the puck so easily. He makes it look just like tying your shoes or something, Steel. It's so easy for him just to cycle the puck around like he's been doing this for 20 years in the pros. He did attend Florida's developmental camp this past summer, and I think he impressed while he was there. So, like I said, there's already been a couple of signings, especially just off of his team already since their season ended.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm kind of surprised that he's still around to be had, because just the ability to move the puck and skate flawlessly and stick handle his way through 5 different people on the ice to get a shot on net. You don't really see that, or if you do, you don't really get the guy that's going to do that and then get back and play defense as well. And I think he does both of those really well. So, man, I would think this would be a great depth signing, a guy who could come in and play big minutes right away for your AHL club, or fill in on a bottom pairing if you just had a defenseman get injured for a playoff run, for an NHL team, because this guy, he has all the NHL abilities in those big, way of how they play the NHL game now.
Role.
They expect defensemen to be able to skate, to be able to shoot, to be able to carry the puck up. It's not a guy who's going to stand there flat-footed and pass the puck up to a winger on a fast break anymore. They need to get them in the offensive working schemes of things, and CJ is just the guy to do that.
I'm with you on that, but and I can kind of understand why maybe he has gone undrafted, because it is a little bit tougher for defensemen, especially of that stature, to get drafted per se. And we all know that it takes defensemen that little bit of extra longer for them to actually come good. And to be quite honest with you, I think actually having him go to the NCAA and prove himself at that level has allowed his stock to rise, I believe. And teams should be taking a look at him as far as we're concerned. Look, Lance, this is the beauty about what we do here, is that we find these gems, we find these players that we think that, teams should be looking at, or that we feel that, could be a good addition to a team or would be worthy of drafting. We watch a lot of their tape. We watch a lot of the games that we can. We try to do as much research about every one of these players that we talk about. It's not like we're just kind of throwing this stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? So I like the list so far, and of course we have to save goalies for last, right?
For sure,
Like,
sure.
It wouldn't be Prospect Watch with your host Lance Green if we didn't save goalies for last, right? So, okay, here we go from Maine. Okay, and Maine is now going to be playing in the tournament here coming up this weekend. They're going to be playing against Penn State,
Quinnipiac,
Quinnipiac, and
UConn.
And UConn. That's going to be the four teams playing at Allentown Center, PPL Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And the backstopper for the Maine is Albin
Boija.
Boija?
Albin Boija.
Boija. All right, Albin Boija. All right. Yeah. So that's going to be the goaltender for Maine coming up here in this tournament. And you know what, Lance? I got to tell you something. As a goaltender to be able to be somebody that you can notice, and we also know that goaltenders take longer to develop as well, too. You know what I mean? And I got no problems with goaltenders going to NCAA levels or going to the league or going to the Swedish league or going to the KHL because you're going to play against better talent. You know what I'm saying? And so when you get that and you develop them types of goaltenders, and I think that's what Maine has got in Boija here for sure. I'm 6'1", 181 pounds. Talk to me about him, Lance, why you have this goaltender for last.
Yeah, I mean, this kid's 21 years old now. He's a Swedish goaltender, came up through the Swedish leagues, the J18s, the J20s, SHL, was pulled up but didn't play there. So in saying that, I think is why he came over to the NCAAs. He played with Maine last year. He played in 18 games last year. He had a 2.01 goals against average and a .916 save percentage.
Wow.
With 2 shutouts. All right, as a freshman, just learning the North American game. All right,
well, that's pretty good, man.
That's pretty darn good. That is pretty darn good. So this season, he's been able to top that. He's since taken over the net, over the crease, and he played in 36 games so far this year, where he has a 1.76 goals against average and a .930 save percentage with 4 shutouts on the year. He has 23 wins on the season, and he is a main reason while Maine is in this tournament and projected to be one of the top teams. I don't want to jinx them, knock on wood, to come out of the Eastern Division at the PPL Center this weekend, and after whenever the final game for that is. But man, this kid is good, Steel. Let me tell you, solid backstop for them. I think he only builds their confidence up because they have him as their backstop, and they can trust him to be reliable back there and to stop a big stop. This kid does not give up on a play. All right.
No, he doesn't.
I don't want to compare him to Dominic Hasek, but if you think how Hasek would be out of position and totally laid out on the ice and then just throw a limb up there and
make the save,
stop a puck. This is what this kid does. He's a great fundamental goaltender, but he just never gives up on a play. And he's been on so many highlight reels this season of just amazing stops that he's made a second or third stop against in a single series because maybe his team wasn't able to get rid of the rebound and send it back up ice, and he just comes out of nowhere and still stops some amazing, stop with his glove or his blocker or stick blade.
I believe he has
it
a
doesn't
save of the year,
matter.
right?
He's just going to keep that puck out of there. And you know, he's played some big hockey games here. He's 21 now. He's just coming into when goaltenders really begin to come into their own as at 22, 23 years old. And since coming over to the United States to play hockey, he hasn't missed a beat. Like, I mean, he looks like he's been doing it all his life, and he isn't coming from a bigger ice surface and had to learn the faster paced North American style play on that smaller rink that so many goalies tend to struggle with when coming over across the pond. And he's just done so flawlessly for Maine. I think that, I mean, he would be an amazing pickup. Even if you wanted to just sign him, let him play the playoffs with the Phantoms and then send him back, or whatever team that signs him. It's just, hey, let's send him back to Maine for a third season and let him get number one goalie reps. But why not? Why not give this kid a shot at a contract?
Man, I can tell you right now, there's probably
going to jump people in the depth charts.
A list of teams as long as my arm that need goaltending.
Yeah,
and I can think of Penguins being one of them.
One of them, a guy that can step in, right?
Yeah,
he could help out Wilkes-Barre right now. He could help out.
Yeah, but okay,
he could help out Pittsburgh right now.
But what I'm saying is that what do they have to lose if they bring him in now?
Right.
Absolutely nothing. He gets a little taste. You know what I mean? See how he does in the tournament. If he's able to move on, then cool. If not, then bring him in and see what he does. And see, I mean, what do you got to lose at this point? You know what I'm saying?
Some teams have what, like 10 games left or something in a regular season. And a lot of AHL teams are repping for the playoff runs already. If your NHL club's not doing that great, maybe you send them to the AHL and along with your kids coming out of juniors that have aged out that you previously drafted, and make a playoff push there altogether. Just see what he has.
You know what, Lance? Of all of the players, I think these are some great players that would have a great shot at making an NHL roster. All they have to do is just do their due diligence on some of these players, kind of like, and make the assessments that we've kind of done and see what kind of players these guys could potentially be. I think that there's no ceiling on some of these guys, and I think that's what gives them more of an attractive nature, because some of these guys still have more ceiling to go. Do you know what I mean? So, but folks, you got to go check out the NCAA tournament that's coming to Allentown, Pennsylvania at the PPL Center this coming weekend. There's a game Friday, and then I believe there's two games Friday.
Yeah.
And you'll see those two games, and then the winner of each of those two games then plays the championship game then on Sunday, the 30th, and that's down at the PPL Center. Got to go check that out. Got to root for those teams. Some of the teams that we're going to be rooting for are going to be Penn State, and obviously the team we just talked about, Maine, and UConn's going to be there, and Quinnipiac's going to be there too. So some great teams, some great hockey. Be sure to go check that out. I believe, in fact, the games are going to be televised on ESPN2. I believe at least the games are going to be televised, I believe.
Yeah, definitely ESPN2 and possibly most likely ESPNU as well, if you guys have that.
Yeah.
But, definitely Quinnipiac is a national championship team not too many years ago.
2023 they were.
Right. So, I mean, Penn State, big ranked team all year long, kind of faltered a little bit towards the end there, but, a team that is killer, and it's a local team if you're in the Philadelphia region where they're going to be luckily enough playing.
First time Penn State's been back since 2023 as well.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's a good way to see some teams that you don't see around these parts, and just some good college hockey. It's a whole different atmosphere. If you've never been to a collegiate game, you have the team's bands playing, you got the student section. It's just a fun environment, and just some really, really good hockey going to be played in our own backyard, as we're around that area from where we are, but from all over the country. There's a Midwest bracket, there's a Western bracket, there's a Southern bracket as well.
There's a Northern bracket where they're going to be playing up in Massachusetts as well too.
Right.
So.
Yep. So you got a lot of great teams playing this weekend all over the nation, and fighting to get to see who gets to go to that Final Four, Frozen Four rather. So
exactly, and that's what this is all about here. So for sure. So Lance, I'll tell you what, man, I think we got a really good show here. We talked about some great players that some NHL teams should be looking to the NCAA for some of those depth players, for some of those teams that are trying to make a playoff push or trying to make a run. Also potentially could be the same thing for your AHL club, a depth player, or trying to make a playoff run for sure. Be sure to go on over to SteelFlyers.com/links/Prospect Watch Show to check out all of our latest shows and all of Lance's great latest articles. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what we do, hit the like and subscribe, man. We really do appreciate that. We also like to say thank you to Spreaker for getting us out there to all of the podcasting platforms. All you have to do is type in Prospect Watch and the name of your favorite player, and we should come up, hopefully, and you give us a 5-star rating, and we really appreciate that. So, Lance, what do you think, buddy? We got a good one?
Yeah, man, I'm excited for this weekend. I got to tell you, I'm going to be watching some good college hockey, and see
Fingers
who
crossed
advances.
We might be closer than the TV.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll hopefully we're there, but we'll see how it all plays out. Work and everything else, but we'll see.
Like I said, man, fingers crossed. You might see some cool stuff coming for sure. Also, I'd like to make a major announcement. Some major changes are going to be happening here to the channel and also to the show. We're going to have some great new graphics coming up for this show, the release of this show. We're also going to be doing a couple things a little bit differently and be looking for a separate Prospect Watch channel on YouTube. That's right, folks, a separate Prospect Watch channel on YouTube. Be looking for that to be coming out here real soon, and then also be looking forward to the great new graphics for the show, and also some great things coming out as well too. Be sure to check them out. Head on over to SteelFlyers.com and check out all that great stuff. We'll be sure to check you on the next episode of Prospect Watch. Check y'all later.